It's Josh coming at you. Welcome, everybody. Today is Monday, and we are talking about immigration mistakes. We're talking about the mistakes that you can make with your immigration case that can take your case from approvable to denied. Approvable to denied in one mistake. All of these mistakes usually come to me in client meetings, and people say to me, this is what they say. They say, but Josh, how will they know? How will they know? But Josh, how will they know? That's how they say it. And when I hear those words, but how will they know? To me, it means I want to do something shady. I want to hide the ball. I want to take some information that I don't want immigration to know, and I want to try to get away with it. But how will they know? And the truth is that if your immigration strategy is based on taking something that's really negative and hoping that immigration is not going to find out about it, boy, is that short-sighted. It's so short-sighted. They know more than you. They're smarter than you are. They check everything under the sun, and they know more. And maybe, a lot of times this conversation in my practice comes up when people are talking about how to get their green cards through marriage. And when they talk about how to get a green card through marriage, often what they're doing is that they will want to get a green card through marriage, and they list out their address and their spouse's address on the forms together. Okay. And what they do is they're doing that to claim that they are living together with their spouse, when in fact they don't. And boy, if you do that, what happens is immigration finds out about it. And then your credibility goes right down the crapper. You will not be found to be an honest person. And when your credibility is damaged and gone, you can't get that back. You can't. It's not going to come back. Once they find out because if you lie about one thing, then you're going to lie about other things, and they don't trust you. And that is a problem. Has anyone out there ever had a problem like this? Please let me know. Please let me know. I just had a request from somebody who wanted to he says, take me on the call. I would love to hear. This is from Syed Muzamil. I'd love to hear what you need help with and see if I can answer your questions. That might be interesting. And somebody else wants to be invited to make money together. Number one, I don't know. Here's a question from Uncle Matty Daddy. Uncle Matty, I love that name. Uncle Matty Daddy. My wife lives in Thailand. I'm a U.S. citizen. How do we prove that we have a bona fide marriage together since we've never lived together? Well, Uncle Matty Daddy, every single person who has ever gone through this process of petitioning for their spouse when their spouse is abroad, every single person has had the same challenge because you're not living together, right? And in order for you to get the visa so you can live together, you need to prove that you're living together. So how do you get out of that? Well, you don't have to prove that you're living together. You have to prove that you have a genuine relationship, that your relationship with your wife or your spouse is genuine. And how do you do that? Let me throw out a few suggestions. First, you can travel to Thailand and spend time with her, or go to a third country and go on a trip. And you can take pictures of that. And you could introduce her to your parents, either through Zoom and video conferencing, or have your parents go there to meet her. You can meet her parents and take pictures of that. You can send money. You can create a record of the remittance, or the record of the chats that you have with her. You can send her a wedding ring and show the receipt. I could go on and on and on. But these are the ideas that I have in mind. Does that help? Does that get the juices flowing when you think about it? It's also that is a good start. Maddie says, I met her family and she texts with my mother every day. That's amazing. That's great. I love that. She texts with your mother. That's a great start. I love to see a picture of her with your mother and father, or a picture of you with her parents. Um, I, as a lawyer, I'm recommending you go on a nice vacation together. I think you're off to a great start. Okay. And the more time you can spend together with her, the better it's going to be. Other questions about immigration mistakes. That's what's on my mind this Monday. Immigration mistakes. I'm going to be taking questions from whatever you have in mind. I'll try to. So Carly Rodriguez says, how much do you charge for a consultation? We don't charge for a consultation. We have free um, consultations for people, but in order to qualify, you have to answer some questions on our website just to make sure we don't want to waste your time by saying, hey, it's not going to work. Uncle Matty says, I spent 2 weeks in Thailand twice a week. Love your content. Yeah, I mean, Thailand, I've never been to Thailand personally. It's on my bucket list. So I'm imagining you and your wife on some beautiful tropical place eating this amazing food, and I think that's great. Twice a year. I mean, I know it's far, but the more you can do that, the better. And if you need help, let me know. Here's another question from Instagram. How do we get a work permit before claiming asylum? Well, I don't know. I mean, there may not be a way to get a work permit before you get asylum. If you apply for asylum and the case is pending for a while, you can then apply for a work permit. Does that help? Let me know. Let me know what other questions you have. I think that I have a lot to say on a lot of topics. If you don't know me, like, why should you listen to what I have to say about your immigration case? What do I know? You know? I've been practicing immigration law for more than 20 years. It's kind of embarrassing to say that because it makes me feel really old, but I have done thousands and thousands and thousands of immigration cases of every type. And to be honest with you, I have made so many mistakes in my career, particularly early in my career. And if you spend time with me here on my content, you're going to get to learn from my mistakes. So, because when I tell you do it this way, it's probably because I've either made that mistake myself or one of my clients has come to me with this mistake, or I've seen it from another lawyer. So you can just save yourself so much time and hassle and by not going down these mistakes. Let's take a question from a friend of ours on YouTube. This is Hamza Idris. My name is Hamza. I'm from Jordan. I applied for a B1, B2 visa. My visa was refused, and it's been stuck since August of 2023. Every time I email the embassy, they didn't give me the right answer. Okay, so I have a few things to say about that. Number one, I hope you get your visa so that you can visit the U.S. I know that's really important to a lot of people. Getting a little more caffeine going in my system here. So secondly, when you apply for a visitor visa or you apply for any visa and they tell you that your visa is refused, okay, this does not mean that your case was denied. The word refused in common English means something negative happened to your case and that it was denied, but that's not true at all. Refused means that your case was put in administrative processing, which is a holding pattern. Administrative processing is not a negative decision. It's the lack of a decision. It means that your case is stuck and it's on hold. And that's very, very frustrating. I know, but at least you're not denied. Here's a question I got from a friend of mine who texted me just now, and I think it's a good question to answer here. So he says, "Dear Mr. Immigration Lawyer," he's a good friend of mine, so he's addressing me like that in a comic way. He says, "How exact do I need to be regarding the travel outside the U.S.?" Okay, so when it comes to the application for naturalization, the N-400, you have to list all the trips that you've taken outside the U.S., I believe, for 5 years, and for people like me, I don't travel outside the US a lot. So if I had to do this, this would be quite easy for me. But for people who travel frequently, it could be mission impossible to travel out to list out all the trips. So what I always recommend, this is a great tip, and listen to this if you're out there. When you become a US citizen, when you first become a US citizen, okay? You should keep a contemporaneous record of all your trips outside the US. And the information that you need is the day you left, the day you returned, and the countries that you visited, and the number of days outside the US. That's it. And if you keep a spreadsheet or a Google Sheet or Excel, whatever, and you write this down as you go contemporaneously, it's very easy. Every time you leave, you jot down this information. Every time you come back, you record this. Now, what happens if you haven't made these records is that you go back and you think, oh my God, I can't remember all the trips that I've taken outside the US. And some of them you may have driven across the border or something. So it becomes quite difficult. But to answer the question directly, you need to make an extraordinary best effort, okay, to record all of your trips as accurately as you possibly can. The goal is not perfection. The goal is, to the best of your knowledge, it's accurate, but you can't just throw up your hands and say, oh, I don't know. And you also don't want to half-ass it where you just put down the trips. Go back through your records, go back through your calendars, ask your assistant or your friends or your wife or your kids, and like try to reconstruct all the trips that you've taken to the best of your knowledge, and really make an extraordinary and diligent effort to record those trips. But also, on the other hand, don't get hung up on it. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't submit my application because I can't remember all the trips. Don't let perfection hold you back either. So do your best and then move on. Hope that helps. Any questions about this, post them in the comments and I'll try my best to answer. Let's see here. Here's a question from on TikTok. It says here, hi, my name's Halima. My kids had their interview over 2 years ago in Nairobi, Kenya, and they're saying refuse. So this person, Halima, if you're listening, I really hope you contact us using the link in my bio, because this sounds like a case we could definitely help you out with. I have another question here about our fees. How much do we charge for a case? So the two questions that every single person always asks me are, number one, how much does it cost? And number two, how long is a case going to take? And if I were hiring someone for basically any service, I would ask those questions too. How much do you charge? How long is it going to take? And how much does it cost? Right? So it's easy for me to answer the question of how much does it cost, because once my firm, my team talks to you, we understand what you need help with. We understand, number one, if we can help you. And number two, if we can help you, then we can tell you this is how much it's going to cost. That's an easy question to answer. As for how long it takes, you have to understand that if you ask me or any other immigration lawyer right now, how long is something going to take? You have to understand that we are just, we're giving you a WAG. Do you know what a WAG is? It's a wild ass guess. Everything is up in the air with immigration. It's very confusing. So depending on the case, we can ballpark, but you really have to know that the estimated time is very, like, I don't have a lot of confidence in my ability to estimate processing time. And when I throw out my rough ideas about how long something's going to take, I think people latch onto it and they think, okay, he's guaranteeing me it's going to take this long. Whereas, we're dealing with some really, really bad agencies, USCIS, the State Department, the consulates. They're not in the customer service business. We're going to go back to Hamza on YouTube. She said, what should I do in this situation? Marriage. Well, that's very interesting because you did talk to me about a visitor visa in your earlier question. And now you're talking to me about the possibility of getting married. Let's dive into that a bit. What's the difference between a visitor and someone getting an immigrant visa through marriage? Well, they're quite different. Visitors come to the U.S. to go shopping, to go to their cousin's wedding, to visit the Grand Canyon and the Empire State Building, and to go to a meeting, go to a work conference, et cetera, et cetera. That's what a visitor is, a trip of short duration for the purpose of visiting the U.S. You're going to go back to your home country. Now, on the other hand, if your purpose of your visit is because you're thinking about getting married, well, that gets a little bit sticky, because if the consulate were to find out that you were contemplating marriage and you had a significant other in the U.S., that is not going to help you get the visitor visa, because they're going to think that you cannot overcome the presumption of immigrant intent. They're going to think that you're someone who very likely wants to immigrate to the U.S. And if you're thinking about doing that, there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that you're not a visitor and you need to go through the marriage green card process. So what else? Okay, here's Rowdy Gents. I like that name, Rowdy Gents. I've seen some AOS marriage cases approved in 5 months or less. What would make the process happen that fast? It's hard to say. I think there's a degree of luck involved. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, because luck is not controllable, but I've had cases that my firm has prepared precisely the same way. We've sent it to the same address. One case takes much longer than the other. But if there's one thing I could tell you that would be helpful, Rowdy Gents, is you should document your marriage relationship and prove that your marriage relationship is genuine, and submit that at the same time that you file. So prove that you live together, that you share your life, or that you intend. All those good things will help you immensely. Here's a question on TikTok from Sparrow. Can you file by yourself after an I-45 denial? Well, you can always file by yourself. The question, there are some cases that I think are better suited for someone to file by themselves than for people to not file by themselves. If you have a very, very clean case and you are very much on top of things and there's no issues whatsoever, and you are a permanent resident and you want to become a citizen, then yeah, I think that's a case that might work out well for you to file on your own. But if you applied for an I-45 and it got denied, I don't know whether that would be a good idea at all. That might you want to lawyer up. Read my question on Instagram. Someone said on TikTok. Crispy Air. Okay. Crispy Air, aka Luna Marketing 101, said, I applied for a marriage CR1 visa. I've been traveling back and forth from Austria to visit my husband. The border agent let me in, but told me not to come back until fall. How serious is that? The answer, it's very serious. If a border agent is saying don't come back until fall, then you should not come back for a year or more. You should stop going back and forth, because what's going to happen is they've given you a warning. They said, don't come back. And if you think, that's not that serious, I'm just going to come anyway. Oh, wow. You don't know what I know, because what's going to happen is they're not going to like that. And they're going to deny your entry, or they could. And once they deny your entry, that's going to complicate and jeopardize your marriage green card case. We've had a case like that took a couple of years to overcome. The person needed a waiver, et cetera, et cetera. If you're already going through the marriage green card visa process, then refrain from visiting the U.S., Laura. Meet your husband in a third country, or have him go to Austria, or just get on Zoom, but don't keep coming in. Visitor visa is not your friend. Stay away from it, because it'll mess you up. And I know that it'll mess you up, because when things go sideways, I'm the guy who gets called. People call my office. Oh my God, my girlfriend, my fiance, my wife, they wouldn't let her in. Oh my God. And you don't want to be in that situation. Does that help? Leave it in the comments below. Let me know if that helped. If it doesn't help, maybe you probably don't like my answer, but nevertheless, that's how I'm just telling you what I know to be true. Okay. Here's a question from fa33ma.s. Someone who doesn't have any paper, but their U.S. citizen son just turned 21. Okay, let's talk about that. So if I were doing a consultation with you and you said, hey, I'm in the U.S., I've been here for a long time, my son just turned 21, he's born in the U.S., what can we do? The first question that I would ask you is, how did you enter the U.S.? And if you entered the U.S. with a visa that you overstayed, then I think your son can help you get a green card. But if you entered the U.S. without inspection, then that would mean that it might not work, you know? I would also, if you entered without inspection, I'd want to know how many times you entered the U.S. without inspection. I'd like to have more questions about that. And then at the same time, I would also want to know, if you did enter the U.S. without inspection and you entered only one time, then I'd want to know if anyone in your immediate family is connected to the military or a veteran looking for parole in place, which is another topic. These are some things on my mind. You definitely should contact us in the bio link. Crispy Air Laura says, I'm here on ESTA. We plan for me to stay 4 weeks. Since I'm already here, can I extend my trip to 8? No, you cannot. You entered the U.S. 17 times in the last 4 years. Yes, you cannot extend your ESTA. Nobody can extend ESTA. So, don't Crispy Air Laura. My sense is that you have a strong case for a green card through marriage, for a visa through marriage. And my fear is that you're jeopardizing it by going back and forth with the visitor visa, or trying to stay here with the visitor visa. Like, you're on, I don't know. I think you should be careful about that. I am making a whole bunch of more videos this week, YouTube videos, and also more like TikTok style videos. And if there's a topic that you really would like me to make a video for, to address, maybe a deep dive into a particular topic, I'd be happy to do that. I had someone ask me what documents to bring to a marriage green card interview or a marriage visa interview, and I was going to go dive into that and list out all the documents and give you some commentary. Stephanie Reyes, hello John, I'm Josh, but that's okay. I've been called worse. Can you talk about advanced parole for DACA? Oh yeah, I'd love to talk about advanced parole for DACA. So if you have DACA, you may be eligible to apply for permission to travel. And if you can apply for permission to travel, you should, because most people who have DACA, unless you've traveled on advanced parole, if you have DACA, it means you entered the U.S. without inspection. You came across the border when you were a little kid. And because you entered the U.S. without inspection, you cannot, it gives you, it eliminates a bunch of attractive immigration options, especially the ability to get a green card through marriage in the U.S. So the lack of a proper entry is curable with advanced parole. So I think you should definitely explore the possibility of getting advanced parole. This is something my firm can help you with. And, you know, even if you're like not married or not engaged to get married or not thinking about marriage, if you travel and you get advanced parole and then you come back in, you have that legal entry. And the future of DACA is uncertain. We don't know what will happen. The program could be eliminated by a Republican president or the Supreme Court or who knows what. But if you have that legal entry, then I think you're in good shape, because you would be able to you'd be able to get a green card through marriage in the U.S. or other immigration benefits that you may not even be aware of. So I don't know how long this option will be around, but I think you should take advantage of it. I really do. All right. Here's a question from TikTok from Rose. What happens after you fail your medical exam due to drug usage? Okay. Rose, what kind of drugs? Are we talking about marijuana? Cannabis? Leave it in the comments so I can give you my answer based on that. In the meantime, while I'm waiting, yes, marijuana. Okay. So I'm going to tell you the way this works for immigration. And what I'm going to tell you is so absurd and so ridiculous that you're not going to like anything that I say. So I apologize in advance on behalf of the United States of America and our immigration system. But if you test positive for marijuana through a visa interview, then you will be denied for your visa under the health grounds of an admissibility as a drug addict. Okay. And I realize that it's absurd to think that using marijuana could make you a drug addict, but you have to remember that the immigration laws, marijuana is like murder or something. It's extremely serious and the consequences are harsh. And it's hard because, you know, in the United States and many, many states, marijuana use is decriminalized under state law. And it's like here in Los Angeles, there are billboards for weed delivery places, and it's commonplace. There's no stigma around it or anything. However, if you fail for the drug test, they're going to make you wait a year and retest. And during that time, you have to overcome the presumption that you're a drug addict. So how do you prove that you're not a drug addict? Well, you have to go to counseling and get therapy and continuously test yourself. It's a whole process. Our firm can help you with it, but it's not fast. Here's a question from Kimiko. Dear Josh, why did the embassy put AP for Somalis only, mostly DV winners? I don't know why they do it, but I do know this. If your DV lottery case is stuck in administrative processing, I want to help you because you have a chance to get your green card so you can live in the US. And if you don't get it by September 30th, it's all over and you're not going to have any ability to oh, whoops, hold on. Hey, did you have a question for me?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fantastic.
I'm very good, bro. I respect you, bro.
Thank you. Let me know if I can help you out. Do you have a question for me?
Okay. Bro, let's start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wait, I will send.
Uh, let's see here.
Tell me, boss.
All right. Hang on one second.
Okay.
Can you just end this so I can? Yeah. Can you? I don't know how to do this here. I'm sorry.
I send you. I send again.
Yeah. Can you just disconnect and I can send something to you? Thank you.
Okay. Come on.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, brother.
Thank you.
Listen, listen. What happened?
Right.
I think you don't play.
All right. We will talk soon.